The Empire Exposed. Pam Bondi unleashes the truth. It was a tense morning in Washington, D.C., when every camera and microphone in the packed courtroom captured an unprecedented moment. The harsh fluorescent lights stripped away all pretense, exposing every determined expression and every subtle twitch of anxiety. Today, the air itself buzzed with the promise of a reckoning led by none other than Pam Bondi, a former Attorney General of Florida renowned for her unwavering pursuit of justice. Pam Bondi strode to the podium, her tailored suit immaculate and her eyes glinting with steely resolve. In her hand, she clutched a neatly organized folder, heavy with sealed documents that would soon send shockwaves through the political establishment. There was no teleprompter, no script, just raw, unfiltered evidence laid bare for all to see. "Your Honor, members of the court," she began, her voice clear and resonant. "Today we confront not merely a personal scandal, but an empire built on covert deals and deliberate cover-ups." A murmur rippled through the room as every eye fixed on her. A federal warrant has been issued against Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for obstruction of federal immigration enforcement, she continued, the words resonating like a gavel strike that silenced the crowd. Outside the courtroom, the nation awoke to a media maelstrom. Cable news vans lined the streets of Washington, and social media erupted with hashtags like #OSWarrant and #DOJ accountability. Every screen in America lit up with the breaking news, turning the usual morning routine into a collective, anxious watch party. For months, Bondi had been working in the shadows, meticulously gathering internal memos, encrypted communications, and witness testimonies that exposed a disturbing pattern of judicial misconduct. The warrant, she explained, was tied to a web of questionable deals, massive transfers of foreign funds, shell companies that funneled billions, and secret emails that documented an unholy alliance between political power and private wealth. It was all part of what she described as a system designed to protect an empire at the expense of public trust. As Bondi's words echoed through the courtroom, the camera panned to a giant screen displaying Exhibit A, a detailed timeline of financial transactions, bank transfers, and travel logs. The timeline showed that in 2021, while Biden's administration pushed forward with critical policy initiatives, a $12 million grant was funneled to a Ukrainian nonprofit co-founded by a business partner of Hunter Biden. Just days before, an email from Biden's chief of staff had read, "The president is aligned. Move forward on the initiative." The evidence was damning, a clear sign that these weren't random occurrences, but carefully orchestrated maneuvers. Across the room, President Joe Biden sat solemnly at the defense table, his usually confident expression now marred by tension. Flanked by his attorneys, he adjusted his tie, a habitual gesture that today felt more like a forced performance. "I have served this country for over 50 years, he said evenly when questioned, "and I have nothing to hide." His words, though measured, failed to dispel the mounting evidence. Bondi pressed on, her voice cutting through the silence. "Let's talk about Exhibit B," she said, tapping another document that detailed a series of internal communications. These emails, dated just days before key financial decisions, reveal that your administration coordinated with external advisors to approve deals that directly benefited your family's enterprises. The room grew colder as the implications sank in. A few committee members exchanged uneasy glances while reporters scribbled down every word. Then came a particularly dramatic moment. Bondi unveiled Exhibit C, a digital timeline plotting major policy announcements against corresponding wire transfers and contract approvals. "In every instance," she asserted, "there is an undeniable correlation. When you promoted anti-corruption measures, your family's business interests skyrocketed. This isn't coincidence, it's a pattern of systemic exploitation." The montage of images and figures on the screen left no room for doubt, and a hush fell over the room as the gravity of her revelations became apparent. Outside, the public reaction was instantaneous and explosive. On social media, debates raged. Supporters of Bondi hailed her as a champion of accountability, while defenders of the administration dismissed her claims as politically motivated mudslinging. Headlines screamed across digital platforms, "Biden's empire exposed," and "accountability at last." Meanwhile, protests began to form outside federal buildings as citizens demanded transparency and justice. In a rare moment of vulnerability, President Biden, after a brief recess, appeared on a secure video feed. His face, usually composed, betrayed a hint of strain as he addressed the nation. "I acted in the best interests of the American people," he insisted. But Bondi was relentless. "Your actions," she countered in a calm, yet piercing tone, "have created a system where public office becomes a shield for private gain. Today, we stand not only to expose those misdeeds, but to demand that no one, regardless of their power, is above the law." Her words, delivered with surgical precision, resonated far beyond the courtroom. They were echoed by legal analysts on cable news, debated passionately in boardrooms, and discussed fervently in classrooms across the country. In one particularly striking scene, a panel of experts in a Washington, D.C. roundtable argued that Bondi's revelations signified not just a single scandal, but a broader crisis in how the government managed conflict of interest and transparency. That evening, as the nation grappled with the fallout, Bondi's resolve remained unbroken. In a quiet, reflective interview later that night, she stated, "I'm not here for partisan politics. I'm here to ensure that our justice system works for everyone. When those in power manipulate their office for personal enrichment, they betray the public trust, and that is a betrayal we cannot allow to stand." Her words rippled through every corner of American society. In a small Brooklyn apartment, a group of young activists huddled around a smartphone, sharing the segment and discussing its implications over coffee. "This is the moment we've been waiting for," one whispered. "It shows that true accountability isn't just a slogan, it's something we can fight for." Their determination was palpable, a promise to never let the powerful slip away unchallenged. The next morning, as digital dust began to settle and the heated debates continued unabated, it became clear that this was only the beginning. The revelations in that courtroom had ignited a firestorm, a national conversation about the integrity of our institutions and the fundamental right of every citizen to be treated equally under the law. Across boardrooms, classrooms, and living rooms, people questioned whether the rules truly applied equally to everyone, or if the powerful enjoyed an unfair immunity. Pam Bondi's bold actions had shattered a facade that had long hidden the truth. Her evidence was not just a collection of documents. It was a call to arms against a system that allowed privilege to trump accountability. And as the trial progressed, more revelations emerged. Internal memos hinted at secret meetings between high-ranking officials and external lobbyists, while whistleblower testimonies painted a chilling picture of how decisions were manipulated behind closed doors. In the final moments of the hearing, Bondi's closing statement echoed like a battle cry. "We are here not to take sides," she declared, "but to restore the integrity of our justice system. The evidence before you is a testament to a pattern of corruption and selective enforcement, a pattern that must end if we are to have any faith in our public institutions." Her voice, steady and resolute, left no doubt that the stakes were far greater than any individual scandal. As the courtroom emptied and the nation absorbed the magnitude of what had been revealed, the legacy of that day began to take shape. Pam Bondi's unwavering pursuit of truth had not only exposed a powerful network of corruption, but had ignited a broader movement for transparency and accountability. The conversation had shifted from isolated controversies to a comprehensive call for systemic reform. Outside, the streets of Washington pulsed with energy. Protests erupted, online debates raged, and news outlets continued to dissect every detail of the unfolding story. Yet amid the chaos, one thing was clear. No matter how deep the corruption, when truth is uncovered, the system trembles. For Pam Bondi, that electric evening was more than a career-defining moment. It was a turning point in the national dialogue about power and accountability. And as the digital age marches on, Her resolute stance serves as a reminder that even the mightiest empires can crumble when challenged by those who refuse to remain silent. If this story moves you, share it with someone who believes that no one should be above the law. Subscribe for more real stories that cut through the noise and reveal what true courage looks like when the stakes are highest.